What's up, everybody? Genesis just ended. First pay-per-view of 2011 was a lot of fun. I liked it. I know for a fact already a lot of people I talk to online are going to disagree with me, but whatever. So let's talk about it. Kazarian versus Jay Lethal for the X Division title. Thought hit me right as Jay Lethal was heading to the ring. He reminds me of Kofi Kingston in the fact of I've never been able really to say what makes me enjoy them so much, and it hit me as Jay Lethal was going to the ring. No matter what storyline he's in, no matter what he's doing, no matter who he's facing, etc., 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 you can tell that he's happy to be there. You can tell that he appreciates his opportunities, and he's genuinely passionate about what he's doing. So, for this to be the first match of the night and him to be the first one that came out of the tube, and for me to have that sort of revelation was a great way to start off 2011 pay-per-view wise. Him and Kazarian's amazing. Kazarian, people have heard me say before, is like the TNA equivalent of John Morrison, and you put him in a match, it's gonna be good. There wasn't any feeling out process. There wasn't any, hesitant start, any posturing. This was, Taz has the expression, there's no warming up in the bullpen, and that was this kind of match. They jumped on each other from the word go, and it was, I can't say there was a lot of psychology in this as much as I'd like to, because I like the match, and I know psychology is a big part of stuff, but it was a spot match. It was, they had a lot of awesome spots. Kazarian, for instance, had a wicked spine buster on Jay Lethal at one point. Threw him into the ropes, and you figure he elevates him. Just as if he's going to do a simple, like a walk-away slam or just a simple toss, but he throws him up in the air, and he grabs him from the air and brings him straight down, and there was whiplash, and there was impact, and it was very, very effective. Same in another situation where he had Lethal on the apron, and he slingshotted him into the ring and caught him in a cutter or an RKO type maneuver, and it was very fluid. It was very very X Division, for lack of a better way to explain it. And for Lethal's part, Kazarian had him up for the flux capacitor at one point, which is that big, for anybody that hasn't seen it, I don't know how to explain the flux capacitor to you, but it's basically you backflip off the top rope and you carry the other guy with you. And Lethal countered with a very simple move, which is a roll-up sunset flip powerbomb, but coming with all that momentum from the top rope to the canvas is, again, very effective. There was a little bit of shenanigans at the end, a little bit of shady tactics by Kazarian, which is going to happen because he's a heel, and it sells him being a heel, so I don't exactly mind it. But he finishes it off with the, I forget what they used to call it. Right now they're calling it the inverted pile driver, where he has the guy behind him instead of in front of him and drops him down. It's a very, very pretty move. Whatever the hell they decide to call it, it's impressive, and it's always dirty looking when they do it. So it really doesn't matter what they call it. Now, my big fear going into this pay-per-view was, storyline-wise, Bischoff was pressuring all the members of Immortal that everybody has to bring home a belt tonight. So my worry was that there was going to be Immortal run-in interference BS in every match, and nothing was going to be clean, and nothing was going to have a good end. Now, there was no bullshit in this match. There was no run-in. Like I say, there was a little bit of shady chicanery, if you want to call it that, or shenanigans from Kazarian, but that's just him playing a heel character. It's gonna come up. But other than that, for a heel win, it was a clean heel win. It made Kaz look strong and look convincing in the win, and it put the X Division title back on him. And I mean, if anybody personifies the X Division, it's Kaz, isn't it? Take nothing away from Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal still looked very strong in this match, but Kazarian is the X Division, unless you want to put it back on AJ Styles, who has his eyes on bigger and brighter things. Speaking of AJ Styles, we cut to the back. We go to Bischoff's office. We find out that Styles is injured, and he's not going to face Williams for the TV title later on. Flair and Bischoff have an argument, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, who's left in Immortal that doesn't have a match tonight? It's going to be Abyss, it's going to be Abyss, it's going to be Abyss, and I'm not going to care. But anyways, Mickie James and Madison Rayne. Going into this, I was still living off of last year, the amazing cage match that Mickie James had with Tara, with the top of the cage Luthez press. That was amazing. Now, and also, I like Mickie James. Personally, I'm a fan of hers. I think she's long overdue to hold the title anywhere she goes, or at least have a shot at it. Madison Rayne wasn't cutting it tonight at all. I usually like watching her in the ring. Yeah, because she's not hard to look at, and because she's decent in the ring, but she wasn't cutting it tonight, and you could almost tell within the match that Mickie James was lowering her own game to make Madison look convincing, so that they could have an even match. All through this match, Taz was taking a lot of sort of shadowed shots at WWE every time Madison Rayne would let out her Vicky Guerrero-like screaming and yelling and da-da-da-da. He kept on referring to it as the primal scream, which anybody that watched Taz back in WWE knows that's what he always used to refer to Melina as doing, as well as he kept on overusing and punctuating the fact that he kept on using the word vintage, which is an obvious shot at Michael Cole, but anybody taking shots at Michael Cole right now is okay in my books. They had a decent match. There was nothing really special. Madison Rayne kept on doing the walkout, which I hate this. When there's a title match and the champion takes their belt and goes home, you know it's never going to happen. It's either going to be a bullshit count-out ending, or the other guy's going to go or girl is going to grab him and bring him back, and it's just a cheap. I don't know if it's an excuse for whoever needs a rest in the match to get a rest. But I don't like it, and it always looks very, very lame. Especially when you're up against Mickie James, who, despite lowering her game, looked quite physical in this match. Tara came down at the end. There was some BS and interference. And here's the deal. Supposedly, or how the storyline would have us believe, Madison knocked out Mickie James with a loaded glove. Now, I don't really know why she's wearing one glove to begin with, and we didn't see the television audience. I don't know about the live audience because I wasn't there. But the television audience didn't see her load up the glove. So, bad production value, bad storytelling, bad whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's sad because I know Mickie James can do better. I hope they find somebody better to go against her. Flashback to Bischoff once again, who confirms my earlier suspicions that Abyss is going to replace AJ Styles. Well, let's see. You could have either used Abyss or Rob Terry, who's been fighting Douglas Williams for the past 3 weeks on Impact. There we go. Page 1. I never ever make that, so I don't know why I try. Beer Money versus the Motor City Machine Guns. I said in my preview video that I didn't care about this match. Not because I don't respect these guys as athletes, but because this match was done so many times last year. Started off with a pseudo-dramatic standoff in the middle of the ring, but it underlined my point from my previous video that the Machine Guns are very, very passionate, much like I said about Lethal earlier, and Beer Money just looked like they're bored. The match started off for a few minutes with some basic chain wrestling, which it's nice and it's impressive and it's a change of pace, but it felt very slow and very mechanical, if I can say that. You get what you always get with a Beer Money Motor City Machine Guns match. You get Machine Guns flying for a little while, and then you get Beer Money who squashes them and grounds them for a while, and then you get Beer Money that comes out and flies for a while, and then they get squashed again, and this is how the match goes. Until, side note, heels are not supposed to give a shit what the crowd thinks of them, so why does Beer Money do their Beer Money cheer with the crowd when they're supposed to be heels? Anyways, Another match that had a couple of great spots. One really impressive one was when the Motor City Machine Guns, one put the other on Robert Roode's shoulders and actually threw his partner so hard that he DDT'd the other guy. It was quite effective. I believe it was Robert Roode. It could have been James Storm. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. I am sorry. Um, it was effective, and it was sold quite well. The other was when one of the machine guns tried to springboard DDT, and it was countered into a quite perfect is a word I don't want to use, but it was a perfect belly to back Northern Lights suplex. And if because it was done so well, if that had won the match, I would have been happy. I would not have felt cheated at all if it had won the match, only because it was done that well. A little bit more grappling. Simple roll-up won the titles for Beer Money, which was kind of anticlimactic. But again, as I said with the Kaz Lethal match, with it being the Immortal storyline or whatever, I figured there was going to be bullshit, and there wasn't. Once again, Beer Money wins, and they win convincingly, and Motor City Machine Guns don't lose any steam. Okay, so every pay-per-view needs a pee break, so we had the Bubba Ray and Devon match. It was slow, it was boring, you could tell both of them were quite out of their element. It was a dud match, and it ended in a disqualification. So what do you want me to say about that? Abyss taking AJ Styles' place in his match against Williams. Again, I mean, go back to my preview video. I said this was going to be one of the matches, if it had been Styles and Williams, that would have sold this pay-per-view. And it wasn't. And I had completely forgotten at this point, I will totally admit, that on Impact, that Styles had attacked Doug Williams' hand, and that it was supposed to be injured and blah, 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 blah. And I hate stories like that where somebody's already coming in injured, because the entire story becomes about that injury. Let's talk about Anderson later on. So I was let down by the fact that AJ Styles wasn't in the match, because I was looking forward to it. The whole match was about his hand. Abyss hasn't done anything impressive in a long time. He's a big, lumbering, slow, awkward guy, and yet he was dominating, so that doesn't make Williams look good at all, does it? Never mind the fact that the entire match was full of "We want AJ" chants from the crowd. AJ interferes at the end, clocks him in the head. While the referee's not looking, Abyss gets the easy win after a very, very poor, sloppy black hole slam. Abyss wins. They have the TV title now. So Bischoff has what he wants. He's gloating. He's bragging all over the place that he now, as in Immortal, have all the belts other than the Divas division, because they don't have female in Immortal. But anyway, can I make it? Absolutely not. RVD versus the mystery opponent. Now, I'm going to say this for anybody who's listening to me. I don't read spoilers. If you send me a spoiler, I won't read it. If you spoil something for me, I don't like it. I want to find out when I'm supposed to find out. Somebody told me who the secret opponent was for RVD a couple weeks before this match. Now, I said in my preview video that I think surprise opponents at a pay-per-view are bad. I stick by that, but I'm just saying in general, don't tell me what's going to happen if it's not supposed to be known. I don't read spoilers, I don't go view spoiler sites. It's just a personal thing for me, so anybody who's watching, whoever it was that told me last time who this opponent was going to be, I don't want you to take this personally. I don't want you to think I'm pissed off, but just in the future, don't spoil shit for me. But, anyways, RVD's heading to the ring. RVD's berating Bischoff hard, saying, I don't care, it's not worth my time to be here unless you're going to let me fight Hardy. Bischoff turns to him very dramatically and says, okay, if you want Hardy, you've got Hardy. So, RVD goes to the ring and everybody thinks he's going to fight Jeff Hardy. No, he is introduced to Matt Hardy. I don't care. I marked out for this hard. I was not a reviewing, YouTubing, critiquing guy anymore. I marked out totally for Matt Hardy being in TNA. Because even though they're not fighting together, TNA now owns both halves of one of the most popular tag teams of all time, WWE. Suck it. Now, there was nothing special about this match, I'll admit it, but I enjoyed it anyway. This match was average. This match was one of those matches where you know it's an introduction match. because Matt Hardy's going to come in, he's going to get all his signature stuff in. He's going to get the twist of fate in, he's going to get that top rope leg drop in. I'm really surprised he didn't get his half-ass moonsault thing that he does in. He got a weird sort of Russian leg sweep back of the head first into the bottom turnbuckle thing that RVD sold quite well, so it looked really good. And he got the win. Like I said, nothing special about the match, but I don't care. I liked it anyway. I love that Matt Hardy's in TNA, and that's about it. Then we get to Double J. Jeff Jarrett and his MMA crap challenge with Angle. Now, thankfully, he came out and actually explained what the rules of the MMA challenge were going to be, and it was supposedly going to be 3 2-minute rounds with a break in between each round. And there was to be no striking, there was to be no interference, there was supposed to be no da-da-da-da-da. It's an exhibition, I don't want to hurt anybody, blah, 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 blah. You could tell he's talking out of his ass, but this is how the thing was set up. So the first 2 minutes of the match, Kurt Angle, big pop. Is anybody surprised that Angle got a big pop? No. First 2 minutes was Angle chasing Jarrett around the ring. Finally got him down to the ground in like the last few seconds of the first round. So that's just frustrating for everybody. Second round wasn't anything special. It was Angle owning Jeff, for anybody that's wondering. But does that surprise anybody either? It was cool. I took myself out of the storyline. I took myself out of sort of what was going on and just kind of enjoyed it for what it was. It was cool to see some basic technical wrestling, technical maneuvering from somebody that's so good at it like Kurt Angle. I enjoyed that. That 2 minutes was okay. Going into the third round, Jeff is in the corner on a stool trying to look like a boxer, trying to look like an MMA guy, getting all his team helping him out, getting them pumped up. They put something across his arm, some kind of substance. They didn't really say what it was, but he rubbed it across Kurt Angle's eyes in the third round and then started pounding on him. Got himself disqualified, bloodied Angle, and then announced that, oh my, he's retiring from MMA, and he's going to have a retirement party on Impact that's going to involve Angle. And I thought that was just lame. So the entire MMA thing, as most of us guessed, were a cheap way to get Angle back in a story and rough him up and send him out again. Now, don't bring real life drama into wrestling. Like, everybody remembers when Matt Hardy was let go and all the Lita Edge drama that was sort of kind of real and got played up in the internet, and they brought it back into the thing. Let fiction be fiction, let fact be fact. Taz and Mike Tenay spent the entire match talking about the heat between Jarrett and Angle revolving around Karen Angle marrying Jeff Jarrett. Don't do that. That's in bad taste. I have respect for Kurt Angle. I don't have very much respect for Jeff Jarrett right now, but it's in bad taste to both of them, really, and it's in bad taste to this woman, I guess, who is probably living off the fame of being married to two different wrestlers, but like basically she's being made to look like a slut or a pawn or a trophy, and none of those are good things. That was insulting. Like I said, the second round of this match where Kurt Angle was just demonstrating stuff, for lack of a better term, was kind of cool. That I will admit. But the entire Jeff Jarrett MMA storyline and match and invitational and everything was all bullcrap. From the time it started, didn't it remind you of like the Master Lock Challenge and the Ankle Lock Challenge and shit like that? I mean, it wasn't cool then, it's not cool now. Now, Morgan Anderson. Again, let's not make an entire match about one supposed injury. There was ring psychology in this match to some degree. Obviously, Morgan was attacking the head. Anderson decided to attack Morgan's leg. They both make sense. If you're fighting a guy that's taller, you want to attack his leg to make him not so tall, not so dominant, whatever. That makes sense. If you've got a guy that thinks he has a concussion, go for the head. Obviously, it makes sense. They both... Okay, I respect wrestlers. I respect that it takes a hell of a lot of endurance and energy to do what they do. But even still, they looked tired early in this match. The match was average. Nothing really special about it. They filled time, is what they did. Anderson got a surprise roll-up and a win, and Bischoff came out. and said, okay, congratulations, like totally talking out of his ass. But, okay, congratulations, you've got your world title shot. And, by the way, you've got it right now. Is the third time the charm? Absolutely not. Now, they called out Jeff Hardy, and I thought this was going to be a big screwjob thing, but I saw one of the most beautifully arrogant things I have ever seen in my life. Bischoff calls out Jeff Hardy. He's in street clothes. He's still got his coat on, and he's got a fucking cigarette in his mouth. Now, I don't condone smoking. I'm not going to say it's cool to smoke or anything stupid like that. But when did you think you would ever see somebody smoking a cigarette on the way to a wrestling ring? Since Sandman, who the hell has done that? The impact of that was great. The impact of Jeff Hardy just walking down in his street clothes with his coat on, with a smirk on his face, just sort of doing a stretch like he had almost just woken up. The pure arrogance of his entrance to the ring was beautiful. It was great storytelling. Whatever. It has nothing to do with the match. I loved it, though. I think it was a great way to set up the match. Now, Anderson got himself up off his ass and actually did something in this match. He took it right to Hardy. And, okay, now it makes more sense that he didn't do much in the first match, obviously, if he knew that he was going to have another match. But he looked better in the second match than he did in the first, which, in terms of psychology, doesn't make much sense. But he's fighting a faster guy, so it's going to be a more fast-paced match. He's a ragdoll from being beat up by Morgan, but he still looks good, if that makes sense at all. Knocks Hardy in a desperation type move. He knocks Hardy to the outside of the ring where Morgan is still there, and he clotheslines Hardy hard on the ground. So now Hardy's taken a bit of a beating on the side. Anderson took a beating in his first match, so I guess it kind of evens things out. Hardy, in his own heel desperation, grabs a chair. Who comes down to get the chair but Mick Foley? Mick Foley's presence isn't felt very long because Flair comes out to defuse him, and they fight some more, and they have some good, decent back and forth. Then you see the moment that everybody wanted to see, including me. You have Jeff in the middle of the ring calling for Matt, which, if that had happened, I don't even know what I would have said. But he's then cut off by RVD. They brawl to the back, and it's back to them. Again, now, Bischoff is still there. Bischoff comes into the chair to whack Angle. Bischoff gets the mic check to a big crowd pop, including myself, even though I'm here by myself and nobody cares what I pop for. Hardy tries to get him from behind, reverses the twist of fate into another mic check, and Anderson is now the champion. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, you're surprised by that, right? Because I'm a Hardy fan. Everybody knows I'm a Hardy fan. If you can't tell that by now, then you're on glue. Anderson won in a great way. What I would love to see Jeff Hardy get shit from Bischoff on Impact for losing the title, get booted from Immortal. Matt says, if you're kicking him out, you're kicking me out too. They turn face, they go against Immortal, Hardys win the tag team champions. It's not going to happen that way, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see this dark, twisted Jeff Hardy that we know now, this dark, twisted, evil, sort of surreal, enigmatic Antichrist character, not under the umbrella of being a heel. I think it would work. Matt Hardy, we know, can play up being a heel, but the Hardy Boys, plural, in TNA, they don't need the TNA tag titles, but the TNA tag titles might need them. That would elevate their tag team division, because the only world-renowned tag team they have is 3D, and they decided to break 3D up. But you've got the Hardys in WWE. Now that's... I'm sorry, that's the highlight of my night. Like I say, call me a mark for the Hardys. I'll admit I'm a mark for the Hardys. And I love it. And everything that TNA does this way, WWE goes like this. Now, on a personal note, I'm going to talk to Mark Pearson for a second. Mark, you said you're not doing TNA pay-per-views anymore. That's totally your prerogative. You have some strong opinions about TNA. I agree with some of them, I don't agree with some of them, but us disagreeing is what makes the YouTube world go round, isn't it? But I will admit, and I'm not kissing your ass, but I will admit every review I put up of a pay-per-view, I either checked out what you had to say about it right before, If I have some things I'm unsure on, you always give me a different thing to think about. If I am quite sure of what I have to say, I do put it up first, and then I'll go back and see if you agree with me. I won't have a counterpart for this, will I? Because you're not doing the TNA shows anymore. Um, this is my way of almost asking you to reconsider, but I'm not going to ask you to reconsider. I don't have the right to do that. But free shout out, everybody check out Mark P if you haven't already. I look forward to what happens on Impact this week. I think there's going to be great fallout from all of this. Anyways, I have been Spaz. Subscribe up there, talk down there. If you agree, if you disagree, I want to know. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.